Hello, my name's Hannah and I'm going to show you a really easy way to grow some microgreens at home on your windowsill. There are a few things that you need to be able to grow some microgreens at home and I'm going to show you what they are now. So here I have everything that I need to be able to successfully grow microgreens at home. I've got a compost mix. This is cocoa. You can use any compost. I have vermiculite, which I will mix into the compost to help with drainage and moisture. I have some seeds. These are a radish variety of microgreen seeds. You don't have to use microgreen seeds. You can use any old seeds that you have lying around. Say for example, if you have some left over from summer growing and you want to get rid of them before the next season, you can use those. I have a seed tray. Again, you don't have to specifically use a seed tray. You can use a recycled vegetable carton, as long as you just pop some holes in the bottom of it to help with drainage, as you don't want your microgreens to get too wet, as that can cause them to go mouldy. I have a plant label and a pen so that I can remember what seeds I've sown. And I have my watering can with some water in, as I'm going to give the microgreens a good water once I've sown them before I pop them on the windowsill. So the first step when sowing microgreens is to fill up your tray. The microgreens don't need a lot of soil to actually grow in, so don't worry about filling it right to the top. And it's important to press it down with your fingers or using a tamper, just so that it encourages even germination of the microgreens. So now that's done, what I'll do is I'll give the soil a really good water before I put the seeds on. So now my soil is nice and damp, it's time to sow the microgreen seeds. It's a bit different to sowing seeds for outside, as you don't have to be too precise with it. So you can just scatter them around. You don't generally want clusters of seeds all in one place, but you don't have to be too specific with where you're putting them. And once they're all in the tray, you can go in with your finger and just spread them out so that you get a bit more of an even germination. Again, what you could do is just press the seeds down onto the substrate, onto your compost and soil, just to encourage good contact between the seeds and the soil, which will again help germination of the microgreens. So now that the seeds are sown, you can add another layer of compost or soil onto the top, but I like to add a thin layer of vermiculite just to gently cover the seeds, not adding too much, just a thin layer of it. You want to give them a small water again. Remember that the soil has already been watered before you put the seeds in, so you don't need to add too much. It's best to add a label so you don't forget which ones you've sown, especially if you're new to gardening, new to microgreens, until you get to know what they look like when they've germinated and what the true leaves are like. Now that's all done, it's ready to go on a sunny windowsill. What you can do is you can pop another tray like this on top, add a weight to it, and that will encourage the microgreens to sprout, as it's called a darkness period, so they'll be reaching for the light as they're in blackout. You don't have to do that though, so if you don't have a tray or something to cover them with, don't worry about it. Just pop the seeds in the tray onto a sunny windowsill, and in around about 3 to 4 days they should have germinated. So I'll leave my microgreens here on a sunny kitchen windowsill. They should germinate, like I said, in 3 to 4 days. If they need a water in that time, just check by lifting up the tray and seeing how much it weighs compared to now when it's had a good water. So it's been about a day and a half since I sowed my microgreens and they're already starting to germinate, as you can see here. I just wanted to note that while the microgreens are germinating, you might see some white fluff. These are microgreen root hairs. They're both needed and beneficial to the microgreen germination. They're not mould and they're completely fine, nothing to worry about. So the microgreens seem to have all germinated and be growing pretty well. The tray feels a little light compared to when I first sowed them, so they are due for a water. If you don't have a tray to pop underneath them, a good way to water them is just to separate out the microgreens just with your hands and water directly onto the soil. If you do have a tray to pop the seed tray into, it does make things a little bit easier, and you can just water into the tray and the microgreens will get the water straight up to their roots. I'm pretty happy with how they're looking so far, but I'm not quite ready to harvest them yet. So I'll pop them back on the windowsill for another 5 to 6 days, taking us to 10 or 11 days since I sowed them, and we'll see if they're ready to harvest then. So it's been 11 days since I sowed the radish microgreen seeds, and as you can tell, they've all germinated and grown pretty well, and they're now around about the size that I would like to harvest them. I could have harvested them sooner, and I can harvest them later. Obviously, the longer that you leave them, the bigger the microgreen will get and the more leaves they'll have on, but they're still just as good. So all you need to harvest them is a pair of scissors or a sharp knife, and you just want to get into the microgreens right at the base. Be careful not to get any of the substrate vermiculite soil on. You want a nice clean microgreen. And it is advisable to only harvest what you will be using on that day, as they'll stay nice and fresh in the tray. So microgreens can be added to any meal, but here's one of my favourite ways to use them. I heated up some homemade pumpkin soup and added the microgreens on top as garnish. I do grow a lot of microgreens here at work in perfect conditions, under lights, but I also do have a lot of success at home on my windowsill, and you can too.